19 Stories from the Ancients. Only the virtuous can live in peace. Story 1. Virtue and the Consequences of Lacking Morality. Throughout history, the lack of morality has often led to tragic endings. A renowned scholar of the Ming Dynasty, Zhu Yongxian, once stated, "Those who lack virtue will be plagued by misfortune." He believed that virtue is the foundation of fortune and success. Zhu compared life to constructing a building, where virtue acts as the foundation. If the foundation is strong, fame, power, and wealth can be built and sustained. Conversely, if one focuses solely on gaining status and wealth while neglecting virtue, misfortune will arise, ultimately leading to ruin. Have you ever wondered why some famous artists disappear quickly, or why lottery winners often lose everything shortly after their windfall? These are clear examples of lacking the moral foundation necessary to sustain success. Chinese history is full of examples of powerful officials who, despite wielding immense authority, met tragic ends due to their lack of virtue. One prominent example is Li Junqian of the Tang Dynasty. He was once favored by the emperor and entrusted with investigating court officials. However, Li abused his power, colluding with others, falsely accusing his rivals, and using brutal torture methods to extract confessions. His cruelty and unchecked authority instilled fear in everyone, but his downfall was inevitable. After his failed attempt to frame a princess, Li was executed for treason, and his demise became a stark warning against the absence of morality. In traditional culture, virtue has always been held in the highest regard. Many ancient teachings emphasized living ethically and performing good deeds to avoid misfortune. As the sages have said, doing good and accumulating virtue will bring blessings. A family or individual with noble virtues not only inspires hope but also bestows blessings upon future generations. To avoid misfortune, the simplest and most profound approach is to value morality and engage in acts of kindness. Hello everyone! Welcome to this video featuring profound lessons from the wisdom of ancient sages. The teachings of our ancestors are an invaluable treasure trove of timeless truths and meaningful insights. Wishing you an enjoyable viewing experience and hoping you discover many valuable lessons. Story 2. Talent brings trouble, mediocrity brings struggle, only the virtuous can live in peace. Throughout history, talent and lack of talent have always been two sides of human existence. Those with talent often face envy, jealousy, and even calamities, while the untalented struggle to make a living, facing contempt and scorn. The question arises, how can one live in peace amid these extremes? One day, the wise sage Min Triad went for a walk in a great forest with his disciples. They came across a large tree with lush, sprawling branches. Nearby stood a woodcutter with an axe, yet he made no move to cut it down. Min Triad asked, "Why don't you fell this tree?" The woodcutter replied, "This tree's wood is of poor quality. It's useless for anything, so there's no point in cutting it down." Min Triad smiled and turned to his disciples. "This tree has survived countless seasons of rain and sun because it has no value. Its uselessness is the very reason for its longevity." After leaving the forest, they visited a friend's home. The host was delighted to see them and ordered a goose to be prepared for the meal. The servant asked, "Sir, one goose can honk and the other cannot. Which one shall I kill?" The host replied, "Kill the one that cannot honk." The next day, a disciple asked Min Triad, "Teacher, the tree in the forest lives long because it is worthless, yet the silent goose was killed for its lack of talent. If you were in such a situation, how would you avoid suffering?" Min Triad smiled and replied, "I would position myself between talent and mediocrity, not so exceptional as to attract attention, but not so useless as to be disregarded. However, this is not the best approach. Only those who achieve moral greatness can rise above all praise and blame, unburdened by the extremes of talent or lack thereof. Such individuals live according to the times, sometimes strong as a dragon, other times supple as a serpent, rooted in harmony and transcending all distinctions. They are untouched by the harm of the world. Men Triad continued, life is complex and varied. The talented are envied, the righteous are suppressed, and the untalented are despised. If one relies solely on talent to seek fame and fortune, life will never be free of suffering. But if talent is used for the benefit of the nation, to sow goodness for humanity, then that is the path of the true scholar. A virtuous scholar does not chase after fame or wealth, but uses their moral integrity to inspire others. They do not flaunt their talents or live for recognition, but aim only to bring happiness to the people. Men Triad concluded with a quote from Laozi's Tao Te Ching, "Heaven's way does not favor anyone, yet it always protects the virtuous and kind-hearted." A virtuous person, whether talented or not, remains tranquil, guiltless before heaven and blameless before others. Only virtue can free individuals from the turmoil of worldly life, allowing them to live in peace and walk their life's journey with fulfillment. Story 3. What defines a sage? Inspiring teachings often emphasize that wisdom is not merely about knowledge, but also the ability to guide others toward what is right. Long ago, there was a wise philosopher named Master Min who taught that leaders and rulers must skillfully guide their people toward moral righteousness and justice. He instructed that while one should respect deities, they should avoid excessive reliance on them. Instead, leaders should use people's beliefs to promote solemn rituals and instill values of filial piety and compassion. For instance, observing proper funeral rites for parents could gradually encourage goodness in customs and bring stability to society. During one of his lectures, a student named Phuc Tri asked, "Master, what defines wisdom?" Master Min replied, "Wisdom lies in recognizing and utilizing the right people." Phuc Tri, not fully grasping the idea, inquired further, "What does it mean to recognize people?" Master Min explained, "It means promoting upright individuals to correct the wayward." Take the example of Emperor Hu Dao, who appointed Lam Qin as overseer of the judicial system. Thanks to Lam's integrity and fairness, no one in the kingdom suffered unjust punishment. He also recounted the story of King Tianmin, who humbled himself to become a disciple of the philosopher Hoa Dao before inviting him to serve as an official. By recognizing and fostering talent, King Tianmin established a just dynasty revered by the people. Through these examples, Master Min emphasized, a leader's wisdom is not only about intelligence, but also about upholding righteousness and eliminating corruption. Only then will the people trust and follow them. Lesson: this standard of wisdom applies not just to leaders, but to everyone. A wise person must be able to discern the character of others, distinguish right from wrong, and align themselves with upright individuals. Only by doing so can one truly embody the qualities of a sage. Story 4. Using black magic and deception, harm to others, harm to oneself. Throughout history, some individuals have practiced genuine cultivation with profound spiritual powers and moral discipline. However, others have exploited dark arts and deceit to manipulate people, ultimately bringing ruin upon themselves. In the Qinlu region, there was a man named Li Hang who worked as a sorcerer. One day, Zhang Shi, the wife of Qin Zhang, the magistrate of Qinlu, invited Li Hang to perform rituals to alleviate her worries. Li soaked white paper in water and pretended to summon images of demons on the paper to frighten her, then accepted offerings from her. When Qin Zhang learned of this, he decided to test Li Hang using the same method. This time, however, the paper revealed images of 10 demons tormenting Li Hang himself. Terrified and humiliated, Li Hang returned all the offerings and fled in the night. Later, Chen Zheng revealed that he had used white alum to draw figures on the paper to expose Li Hang's fraud. Hui Fam, the impostor monk executed. During the reign of Empress Wu Zetian, a Brahmin named Hui Fam exploited magic tricks and flattery to gain favor in the imperial court. Showered with wealth and privilege, he regularly entered the palace and enjoyed opulence. However, Hui Fam's reckless divinations caused chaos in the court. After Wu Zetian's death, during the reign of Emperor Shenwu, Hui Fam was executed. The people of the capital rejoiced, seeing this as rightful punishment for his deceit. Sun Huan, the fake Taoist. During the Tang dynasty, a cobbler named Sun Huan declared himself a Taoist master, relying on his connections with Princess Taiping to rise to the position of Grand Superintendent of the Taoist temple. He donned silk robes, held a jade tablet, and presented himself as divine, but in reality, he was nothing more than a fraud. Under Emperor Shenwu, Sun Huan's deceit was exposed, and he was executed. Men and women across the capital cheered in celebration, viewing his downfall as a lesson for those who use dark arts and deception to harm others. In modern times, we must remain vigilant against fraudulent actions and schemes. Living righteously, pursuing goodness, and preserving traditional values are essential to maintaining trust and harmony in society. The fifth story, the key to winning hearts. Long ago, in the kingdom of Nam Bin during the prosperous Ming era, there was a renowned official named Ha Min Duk. He was a multi-talented individual, excelling in both martial arts and literature. Born and raised in a family respected for generations, Ha Min Duk absorbed ethical teachings and lived by principles of altruism, always showing care for others. Orphaned at a young age, Ha Min Duk lived harmoniously with his siblings, their bond so strong it evoked envy among neighbors. As an adult, he passed the imperial examination under Emperor Tai Tong and was appointed as a magistrate. Throughout his tenure, Ha Min Duk implemented a leadership philosophy centered on compassion. When subordinates made mistakes, instead of punishing them immediately, he patiently listened, comforted, and guided them to recognize their errors. If someone spoke ill of others in his presence, he never reacted negatively. Instead, he highlighted the good traits of the person being criticized, causing the gossipers to feel ashamed and abandon their habit of slandering others. In the 16th year of Emperor Tai Tong's reign, Ha Min Duk was tasked with overseeing the construction of the imperial tomb. The project took place during a harsh winter when the frozen ground delayed progress. Some court officials proposed punishing the local officers responsible for the construction. However, Ha Min Duk refrained from criticism, gently stating, "I sincerely apologize if you feel pressured by your superiors. Let us work together to complete this task." His empathy and forgiving attitude motivated everyone, and the project progressed faster than anticipated. Ha Min Duk demonstrated that everyone has flaws, and perfection is unattainable. Using authority alone to enforce compliance does not garner true respect. Instead, altruism, respect, and the ability to listen are the best ways to win hearts. An altruistic person like Ha Min Duk not only earned respect but also built trust and unity among those around him. Stay tuned until the end of this video to immerse yourself in meaningful stories that provide profound lessons and valuable insights for your life. Enjoy watching. The sixth story, Calamities Stem from the Heart. In the early 20th century, in the southern region of China, there lived a man named Nguyen Tianmin, renowned as a master of ethics and healing. He founded a free private school named Truong Dao Nia, where underprivileged children were taught literacy and moral values. Nguyen Tianmin was respected not only for his talent, but also for his kindness and compassion. One of his disciples, Lu Min Koi, returned to his hometown to carry on his teacher's mission. Min Koi not only treated illnesses with medicine but also incorporated teachings of morality. He believed that the root of every ailment originates from the heart. If a person cultivates a kind heart, they will enjoy peace and prosperity. Conversely, harboring malice leads not only to a deteriorating life but also to illnesses. Min Koi encouraged his patients to sincerely admit their mistakes to others. When they repented and corrected their ways, their illnesses often subsided rapidly. He also taught that once healed, individuals should live according to moral principles, showing filial piety to parents, loving their siblings, and engaging in charitable deeds. The seventh story: everyone has their unique strengths. Among the many inspiring tales, one stands out, prompting me to reflect on how I view myself and evaluate others. Here's how the story goes. Long ago, in a small village, there was a man named Nguyen the Min, famed as an expert marksman who never missed a shot. Whenever he met other archers, Min would boast, "No one in this region is better than me." Daily, Min practiced archery, hunting birds in the forest to showcase his skills. One day, while he was practicing, an old candy vendor happened to pass by. Seeing Min's exceptional archery, the old man curiously put down his candy baskets and watched for a long time. After Min shot a series of arrows perfectly on target, he looked around smugly and noticed the old man's gaze. The old man nodded slightly but didn't appear particularly impressed. Min asked, "Do you know how to shoot a bow? Are you impressed by my skills?" The old man replied, "There's nothing impressive about it. In this world, when someone practices enough, they naturally become skillful. Your talent is just decent at best." Hearing this, Min grew angry, thinking the old man was belittling him. He shouted, "Do you have skills like mine to dare say such a thing?" Calmly, the old man responded, "I don't know how to shoot a bow, but I have my own skill, which you might find hard to match." The old man then placed a bottle on the ground, set a coin with a hole in its center on the bottle's mouth, and began pouring liquid candy from above. Streams of candy flowed through the coin's hole without touching its surface. As he poured, the old man said, "See this coin? It remains spotless, not a trace of candy on it. I'm not particularly talented or gifted, just practiced, much like your archery." Hearing this, Min was struck with enlightenment, realizing that everyone has their unique strengths. From that day on, he became less boastful and lived with more humility. In life, we often fall into the trap of complacency, overestimating our abilities while underestimating others. This mindset is dangerous as it deludes us into believing we are the best, leading to disappointment when we meet someone more skilled. Instead, we should see our strengths as gifts to develop, not flaunt. Remember, others excel in their own ways too. The eighth story: wisdom is no match for honesty. Who is truly the smartest? Long ago, in a small village in Tan Son, there was a boy named Bin. Born into a poor family, his innocent and simple appearance earned him the name Bin, reflecting his parents' hope for him to live an honest and kind life. Sadly, Bin's father passed away when he was just 3, leaving Bin and his mother to rely on each other. One day, his mother tearfully said, "My son, our family is so poor. I don't want you to suffer, so I will send you to live with a wealthy family. They can give you a better life." Hearing this, Bin cried and clung tightly to his mother. "Mother, I won't go anywhere. As long as I have you, I'll figure out how to manage our lives." Moved by his words, his mother decided not to give him away. From then on, the two supported each other through hardships. Sometime later, Bin and his mother began working for a well-off family. Because of his simple and naive demeanor, the homeowner often teased him. One day, the master of the house placed 2 coins in front of him, one smaller, 2 hao, and one larger, 5 how. Ben, the man said, choose one, and it's yours. And Ben smiled innocently, looked at the coins, and picked the smaller one. Everyone laughed, calling him foolish. Strangely, this kept happening. Visitors and family members would test him, and every time, and Ben chose the smaller coin. As a result, he collected small change daily to help his mother. On another occasion, his mother brought their ducks to the market but couldn't sell any. She came home disheartened and didn't even want to eat. Seeing this, and Ben asked, "Mother, why are you so upset? Let me help you." The next day, and Ben took the ducks to the market. He called out, "Who wants to buy ducks? 1 duck for 20 dong, or 2 ducks for 18 dong." Hearing the unusual price, people flocked to see. Thinking it was a great deal, they scrambled to buy his ducks, and he sold out quickly. As Ben grew up, he studied diligently, achieved academic success, and later started his own business. His honest and humble nature earned him the trust of his partners and friends. Before long, Ben became wealthy, but he never forgot his hometown. He frequently funded the construction of schools and roads. At the inauguration of a new road, someone asked him, "As a child, you seemed so foolish, but now you're so intelligent and successful. How is that?" And Ben smiled and replied, "I wasn't foolish. I simply understood that sometimes taking a small loss can lead to a better outcome. As a child, I picked the smaller coin because it still helped me earn money for my mother. I sold ducks as ducks, but called them ducks turned into geese to sell them all. Being honest and humble turned out to be the quickest path to success." Lao Tzu once said, "Great wisdom often appears as foolishness." Truly wise people don't flaunt their talents, but instead act simply, even accepting short-term losses to achieve greater goals. Honesty, patience, and understanding the principles of life are hallmarks of profound wisdom. Sometimes, what seems foolish is the highest form of intelligence. The 9th story, life ultimately has 3 things to avoid. Peace will come if you can avoid them. The book Tai Kin Dam, authored by the renowned scholar Lu Nan Min during the Tan Bin era, has endured for nearly 400 years. This classic work on self-cultivation and character development contains profound reflections on human existence. In the book, he emphasizes 3 things to avoid in order to live a peaceful and happy life. 1. Procrastinating. Hesitation erodes life. Lu Nan Min once wrote, "Life is like a fleeting lightning flash, like waves on the vast ocean. If you fail to seize time, you only sow sorrow and regret." He emphasized that one of the greatest causes of failure is the habit of procrastination. People often tell themselves to do it later, delaying endlessly until time passes and opportunities slip away. Scholar Nguyen Quoc Binh once remarked, "Talented people fail because of arrogance, ordinary people fail because of laziness." Lu Nan Min believed that setting goals and acting immediately is the best way to avoid stagnation. He often reminded his students, "The youthful years are fleeting and irreplaceable. A day only has one morning. Act now before time quietly slips away and life diminishes." 2. Speaking carelessly. In Tai Kin Dam, Lu Nan Min wrote, "The virtuous are sparing with words, the impulsive are full of chatter." Disasters often stem from careless words. He used the image of a frog incessantly croaking in a pond, its mouth dry but ignored by all, to contrast with a rooster, whose few crowing calls at dawn command attention. The value of speech lies in moderation and refinement, rather than aimless chatter. In life, those who are measured in their words often earn respect and opportunities for success. In contrast, boastful and arrogant individuals only alienate others. 3. Failing to know one's limits. Lunan Min warned that people who fail to understand their own limitations and act recklessly often face tragic outcomes. He recounted the story of Vong Bin Min, a skilled general who became arrogant after achieving great success. Discontent with the land granted by the emperor, he schemed to seize the throne. His recklessness not only led to his own gruesome death, but also brought disaster upon his family and lineage. Lunan Min wrote, "Those who know their place and live in balance and harmony with nature will find peace. Living dishonestly, boastfully, or beyond one's means will only invite calamity." Lessons from the 3 things to avoid. Human life is short and full of challenges. These 3 warnings serve as reminders to cherish time, be mindful of one's words, and live authentically. Avoid procrastination, act promptly, for time waits for no one. Avoid speaking too much, say only what is necessary, so your words carry weight and value. Avoid recklessness, know your limits, live in balance, and avoid inviting trouble. Confucius once lamented, "The doctrine of moderation is a lofty virtue, but those who achieve it are rare." In Taikan Dam, Lunan Min emphasized that reaching the highest state of being involves living true to one's nature, without deceit, without pretense, and always maintaining harmony. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking stories. The next tale will be even more captivating and sure to make you reflect deeply. The 10th story, The Swarm of Grasshoppers. One day, the villagers from a nearby region invited Min Koi to help them deal with a swarm of grasshoppers destroying their crops. Initially, he declined, thinking he could not be of assistance. However, when the villagers pleaded earnestly, he agreed to go. Standing amidst a field teeming with grasshoppers, Min Koi spoke. "You have come here because the people of this land have committed wrongdoings, betraying loyalty, neglecting filial piety, and acting against moral principles. Heaven has sent this calamity as a consequence. I am here to preach righteousness and urge people to amend their ways, to honor their parents and love one another. If they are determined to change, you should also spare them." He then turned to the villagers and asked, "If you are saved from this calamity, will you commit to living with filial piety and goodness?" The villagers replied in unison, "We will." Shortly after, the swarm of grasshoppers flew away. The villagers were astonished, and Min Koi gained even greater respect. Min Koi's story reminds us that nothing in this world happens by chance. Disasters or blessings are created by human actions. As stated in the Tai Thuong Kamung Tien, calamities and blessings have no fixed doors, they come by invitation. Good and evil have their consequences, like a shadow follows a body. When the heart is virtuous, good spirits arrive. When the heart is wicked, malevolent forces follow. If one repents and earnestly corrects their mistakes, calamities can transform into blessings. The ancients said, "Man's nature at birth is inherently good." Everyone can make mistakes, but the key lies in recognizing and rectifying them. As Confucius taught, to err and not reform, this is the true mistake. By cultivating his heart, Min Koi not only resolved the calamity but also inspired the people to live virtuously, bringing peace and happiness to an entire region. A kind heart brings blessings, a malicious heart invites disaster. Knowing how to correct mistakes and turn towards goodness not only fosters personal tranquility but also spreads joy and harmony to others. The 11th story, Closing the Stable Door After the Horse Has Bolted. In life, we often hear the saying, "Closing the stable door after the horse has bolted," used to criticize those who make mistakes and only try to fix them after the damage is done. However, the true meaning of this proverb extends beyond mere criticism. It emphasizes the importance of timely correction. This story originates from ancient Nam Kingdom. At that time, King Nam Lak was notorious for indulging in pleasure and favoring corrupt officials, causing the nation to grow increasingly weak. In the court, there was a loyal minister named Lai Min, who was deeply concerned about the country's state. He repeatedly advised the king, but his counsel was ignored. One day, Lai Min could no longer endure the situation and went to see King Nam Lak, saying, "Your Majesty, if you continue to live in luxury and neglect the affairs of the state, the nation will soon face ruin." The king became furious and shouted, "How dare you utter such offensive words? Do not think you can sway the people with your deceitful talk." Lai Min calmly replied, "Your Majesty, I have no intention of cursing the nation. However, if you persist in listening to the corrupt officials, disaster is inevitable. If Your Majesty does not heed my advice, I request permission to retire to my hometown and avoid the impending calamity." Unable to sway the king, Lai Min left the court. Within less than a year, the neighboring Han Kingdom launched an invasion. The weak Nam forces were unable to resist, and the capital quickly fell, forcing King Nam Lak to flee. At this point, the king recalled Lai Min's warning and was filled with regret. He immediately sent messengers to invite Lai Min back to seek his advice on how to salvage the kingdom. When Lai Min returned, he recounted a story to the king. There was once a herdsman who discovered that one of his cows was missing. He noticed a hole in the cowshed and was advised by neighbors to fix it immediately. "However," he said, "the cow is already gone. What is the point of fixing it now?" The next day, he lost another cow. Only then did he regret his negligence and hurried to repair the shed. After that, no wolves ever entered to steal his cows again. Hearing this, King Nam Lak understood and asked, "My loyal subject, what should we do now to save the nation?" Lai Min analyzed the situation and proposed reforms in governance, efforts to win the people's trust, and a reorganization of the army. Eventually, Nam Kingdom not only overcame the crisis but also began to recover and prosper. The proverb "closing the stable door after the horse has bolted," or Vong Duong Bo Lao in Vietnamese, became a valuable lesson, reminding us that when a mistake is discovered, timely correction can still avert disaster. It is never truly too late. The 12th story, Lu the Fong and the Lesson of Reincarnation. In the town of Tai Chau, there lived a notorious bully named Lu the Fong. Known for his violent temper and idleness, he spent his days harassing the weak. The townsfolk both feared and despised him, avoiding him at all costs to escape his cruelty. After years of wreaking havoc, the Fong suddenly fell gravely ill, his life hanging by a thread. At this time, a monk named Tin Hoa, traveling through Tai Chau, heard about the Fong's misdeeds and was moved by compassion. He decided to visit the dying man. Monk Tin Hoa said, "You have lived a life of sin, piling up countless wrongdoings. Now, you must face the consequences. If you do not sincerely repent, in your next life, you will be reincarnated as a pig, enduring endless suffering." Terrified, the Fong reluctantly placed his left hand on his chest, pretending to show remorse. Seeing this, Monk Tin Hoa sighed and said, "You are not truly repentant. Therefore, in your next life, you will still be a pig. However, your left hand will remain human and be spared transformation." A few days later, the Fong passed away. The townsfolk breathed a sigh of relief, considering the nightmare over. However, just 7 days later, the Tran family, who lived next door to the Fong, welcomed a new litter of piglets. Among them was one peculiar piglet. Its left leg resembled a human hand, complete with 5 fingers, matching the Fong's hand in size and shape. The townspeople were abuzz with speculation. Not only did the piglet have a strange hand-like limb, but it also habitually held its left leg in a prayer-like position against its chest as it walked. The image reminded everyone of the Fong's half-hearted gesture of repentance. They recalled Monk Tin Ho's warning and became convinced that this piglet was the Fong reincarnated. The Fong's family, believing the piglet was indeed his reincarnation, paid a large sum to buy it from the Tran family. They sent it to Fo-Du Temple in Shanghai to be released, hoping to spare it from slaughter. At the temple, the pig often hid among its kind, as if ashamed of its past life's wrongdoings. The story of the peculiar pig quickly spread across neighboring regions, becoming a widely discussed topic. Many people hung pictures of the pig in their homes as a reminder, evil deeds bring retribution. No one could prove whether the pig truly was Lu the Fong's reincarnation or just a strange coincidence. Yet, the story became a vivid lesson, warning people to avoid evil and to live righteously. As the Buddhist scriptures teach, when the body dies, the soul continues its journey through many lives, carrying the karma of past actions. What we do today determines our fate tomorrow. Live virtuously, for the goodness you sow today will blossom in the future, while evil deeds will inevitably bring consequences that cannot be escaped. The 13th story, harm others to change fate, retribution comes instantly. In a small village, there lived a young man named Hui, renowned for his diligence. Everyone believed that with his hard work, Hui would have a bright future. However, deep inside, Hui was always dissatisfied and blamed his fate. He often envied others' wealth and believed that no matter how hard he tried, he would always remain poor. One day, Hui was tasked with pulling a carriage for the district magistrate to a neighboring village. Along the way, Hui noticed the magistrate concealing a golden belt beneath his coat. The heavy rain and deserted road stirred a malicious thought within him. At a desolate mountain pass, Hui pretended to slip, causing the carriage to tumble down a ravine. When he checked below, he found the magistrate lying in a pool of blood, barely alive. Without hesitation, Hui seized the golden belt and abandoned the injured man to his fate. On his way back, Hui encountered a monk who remarked, "Do not take lightly small misdeeds, for small wrongs accumulate into grave sins." Fear gripped Hui momentarily, but he dismissed it and continued back to the village. When he arrived, a close friend greeted him cheerfully. "It seems you've struck it rich. Don't forget to treat us to a feast." Racked with guilt, Hui feared his secret would be exposed. He devised a plan to poison his friend during a dinner party. The friend died, and no one suspected Hui. Though he had secured the gold, Hui was too frightened to spend it, fearing discovery. Sleepless nights haunted him with the monk's words echoing in his mind. Consumed by worry and guilt, Hui soon succumbed to exhaustion and despair, dying without ever enjoying the ill-gotten wealth. Hui's story exemplifies the law of karma in Buddhism: you reap what you sow. Evil deeds do not merely affect the present life, but also leave karmic debts that persist across cycles of reincarnation. The Buddha taught that even the smallest of sins accumulate into significant retribution. Conversely, virtuous actions and accumulating merit bring blessings, enabling a peaceful and fulfilling life. Life is a cycle of cause and effect, where every action leaves a trace. Living righteously not only builds a better future, but also alleviates suffering in the wheel of birth and death. Be mindful of every action and word, for once karma is sown, its fruits are inevitable. May this story bring moments of reflection and impart valuable lessons to enrich your life. Wishing you an enjoyable and insightful viewing experience. The 14th story, no one is useless in this world. In life, some people are often labeled as slow, poor learners, clumsy, or even useless. These two words, useless, can cause significant harm, leading many to lose confidence or even despise themselves. However, in truth, no one in this world is useless. It is simply that their talents have not yet been discovered or nurtured. The story from the book Tam Nak Tin Twin tells of a boy named Jia Bao, who worked as a servant in the house of Quang Lam, a renowned artist. Jia Bao appeared naive and could never complete a task properly. Once, Mr. Lam told him to sweep the house, but after an entire morning, Jia Bao still hadn't cleaned a small room. When scolded, he threw down the broom and said, "If you're so good at sweeping, why do you need me to do it?" Another time, Mr. Lam told Jia Bao to watch the house. However, when visitors arrived, Jia Bao couldn't remember anyone's name. Instead, he described them. That person is short and fat, and the other is tall with a lot of beard. When he could no longer remember, Jia Bao simply closed the door and refused to let anyone in. The house was filled with many valuable antiques, and Jia Bao often took them out to examine. One day, he asked, "Why are these bronze items so black?" Then he took sand, stones, and water to clean them, damaging several precious pieces. Mr. Lam couldn't help but laugh at Jia Bao's antics. When he noticed the willow tree in the yard, he asked Jia Bao to watch over it, fearing neighborhood children might damage it. Instead, Jia Bao uprooted the tree and hid it elsewhere for safekeeping. Despite Jia Bao's clumsiness, Mr. Lam patiently taught him. One day, while preparing ink for painting, Mr. Lam jokingly asked Jia Bao, "Can you paint?" Jia Bao replied, "What's so hard about painting?" Handing Jia Bao a brush, Mr. Lam asked him to try. To his surprise, Jia Bao's strokes, though unrefined, carried a natural spirit, with harmonious lines and shading. Mr. Lam tested him several more times, and each time, Jia Bao met the expectations. From that moment, Mr. Lam began to teach Jia Bao painting seriously. Before long, Jia Bao became a famous artist admired by many. The story of Jia Bao reminds us that behind clumsiness often lies unique talent. It takes tolerance, patience, and vision to uncover and nurture such potential. As the saying goes, "Heaven and earth do not discard anything, sages do not abandon anyone." Everyone is born with their own intrinsic value. The key is not to let failure or pessimism extinguish your determination, nor allow greed to obscure your path of growth. With perseverance and resolve, anyone can become the best version of themselves. The 15th story, Slander and Discord, Karma Never Fails. Throughout history, people have believed in the principle of good begets good, evil begets evil, though the timing may vary. Karma and retribution follow like a shadow, never straying. Some doubt the law of karma when they see evildoers living comfortably, but in truth, retribution does not manifest until the time and circumstances are ripe. The Yue Chao Tang by Ji Shaolong records two stories about karma. An upright official with guilt. Zheng Titian dreamt of descending to the underworld and witnessing King Yin presiding over the judgment of souls. He saw an elderly woman, a former neighbor, respectfully greeted by King Yin, who served her tea and arranged for her to reincarnate in a fortunate realm. Curious, Zheng asked the guard why the old woman was so honored. The guard replied, "This woman lived her entire life without harming anyone or harboring selfish thoughts. Compared to those who study righteous teachings yet scheme and plot, she is far more honorable." Later, Zheng saw a county magistrate enter, claiming he had done no wrong. However, King Yin asked, "You served as an official but failed to uphold justice. You did not speak out against injustice. How can that be called good governance? Your inaction is itself a form of wrongdoing." The magistrate was judged as a lower-ranking official and was reincarnated as a scholar, but he still had to repay his karma. The dutiful daughter-in-law struck by lightning. Another story tells of a virtuous daughter-in-law renowned for her patience and gentleness, never raising her voice. However, one day, she was struck dead by lightning. The grieving husband lamented. She was so kind and patient. Why would such a disaster befall her? It was revealed that the disputes between her husband and mother-in-law were secretly instigated by her. By sowing discord and creating division within the family, she caused lasting disharmony. Though her wrongdoing was indirect, she was the root of the conflict and was punished by divine judgment. The reminder from karma. These stories serve as a reminder that good and evil reside not only in actions but also in thoughts. A corrupt heart is itself a sin. Slandering and sowing discord will not escape punishment. As human beings, we must live virtuously and cultivate our character. The heavens have eyes, and karma never errs. The 16th story, without virtue and talent, wealth left behind is useless. Throughout thousands of years of history, ancient teachings emphasized the importance of cultivating virtue and self-discipline. The sages believed that only through self-cultivation and moral development could one effectively govern their family, lead a nation, and bring peace to the world. These valuable lessons in raising virtuous and benevolent children have been passed down through generations and remain deeply meaningful today. In the kingdom of Daihoa, Zhang Min, a renowned strategist, dedicated his life to serving the nation and upheld morality as his guiding principle. He placed special emphasis on teaching his son, Zhang Fuke, core values of virtue and determination. At the age of 54, Zhang Min wrote a letter to his son, advising, "A gentleman cultivates himself with tranquility and nurtures his virtue with frugality. Without simplicity, one cannot achieve clarity of mind. Without calmness, one cannot attain wisdom. Continuous learning is the only path to broad talent and steadfast will." Zhang Min emphasized that only by self-reflection, living quietly, and tempering desires could one reach lofty ideals. These lessons deeply influenced Zhang Fuke, shaping him into an upright and selfless gentleman who devoted his life to the nation without pursuing personal gain. In the kingdom of Tanfong, Nguyen Hu, a renowned prime minister, grew up in poverty. His father passed away early, leaving his mother, Nguyen Titan, to support the family through weaving. Each evening, as she spun thread, she taught her son to study diligently, always reminding him to endure hardships and strive for greatness. Before her death, Nguyen Titan left Nguyen Hu a hand-drawn painting depicting a young boy studying by lamplight, accompanied by the poem, "An orphan studies by the oil lamp, may you cultivate yourself for the people." A frugal home taught by a virtuous mother, riches must never erase your humble beginnings. Years later, as a celebrated prime minister, Nguyen Hu hosted a grand birthday banquet. During the celebration, a relative presented the painting, reminding him of his mother's words. Overwhelmed with emotion, Nguyen Hu wept, immediately dismissed the banquet, and from then on remained committed to integrity, fairness, and love for the people. His actions earned the respect of the nation, and history remembers him as a model leader of both talent and virtue. In the kingdom of Venan, Lai Quang, a renowned upright official, prioritized morality in raising his children. He often said, "Many leave wealth for their descendants, but I leave behind an honorable name. If you have virtue and talent, you will build your success. Without them, any amount of wealth will be meaningless." Throughout his life, Lai Quang refused to accumulate wealth for his children. Instead, he devoted himself to instilling in them the qualities of integrity and ambition. When friends advised him to acquire more land and save wealth for his descendants, he simply smiled and replied, "The most valuable inheritance I leave them is purity and moral lessons. These are treasures they can never lose." Later, Lai Kwang's children became outstanding individuals, contributing significantly to society and leaving an indelible mark in the history of Vietnam. The stories of Zhang Min, Nguyen Hue, and Lai Kwang highlight the fundamental value of educating children in virtue and resilience. Material wealth, no matter how great, is fleeting and easily squandered if a person lacks moral character and talent. Ancient sages firmly believed that cultivating virtue in descendants not only secured their future but also laid a strong foundation for family and society. When individuals possess morality, knowledge, and steadfast determination, they can withstand challenges, discern right from wrong, and walk the righteous path. This invaluable lesson from the past continues to serve as a guiding principle for generations to come. Hello. This video brings you profound lessons from ancient wisdom. Wishing you an enjoyable viewing experience and hoping you will gain valuable insights. The 17th story, Not Believing in Buddha and False Belief in Buddha, which is the greater sin? In the Duet Vai Tao Duong Pen Notes by Ji Shaolong, there is a strange story from Fujian province during the Qing dynasty. Since the area often experienced rain, bridges were built with roofs to shelter travelers. A conversation from the underworld. One rainy night, a man taking shelter on a bridge noticed an official leading a group of guards escorting prisoners under the roof. The clanking of chains echoed through the night. The man realized this was a court scene and hid in a corner to observe. From a distance, he saw a prisoner crying loudly as the official bellowed, "Are you afraid now? If you had not committed evil in life, wouldn't you have been better off?" One prisoner sobbed, "My teacher always dismissed the idea of ghosts and spirits, claiming it was nonsense. He said that once you die, everything ends, and there are no spirits or karmic retribution. I believed his words, so I lived recklessly, committing evil without fear. I thought I could avoid consequences as long as I was careful. But I was wrong. The underworld is real, and now it's too late for regret." Another prisoner wept as well, lamenting, "I believed in Buddha, but in the wrong way. I thought that by making donations and hiring monks to chant sutras, I could erase my sins. So I committed all kinds of evil, assuming I could buy my way to salvation through Buddhism. But I was gravely mistaken. Merit and sin are not measured by the amount of money given, but by the intentions and actions behind them. My misguided belief has led to catastrophic consequences." Both prisoners cried bitterly, filled with remorse for their indulgence and mistakes. The man watching realized these prisoners were spirits being judged in the underworld. He quietly observed until they faded from view. This story serves as a reminder. True belief in Buddha lies not in outward acts such as donating money or chanting, but in cultivating a pure heart and righteous actions. Not believing in Buddha is wrong, but falsely believing or exploiting Buddhist practices for personal gain creates even graver sins. Good and evil are always repaid, sooner or later. The 18th story, 10 Immortal Sayings from Romance of the Three Kingdoms. The Romance of the Three Kingdoms is one of China's 4 great classical novels, captivating countless readers worldwide. Scholars often remark on the profound insights and timeless lessons embedded in its narrative, which are hard to fully grasp. Here are 10 of the most iconic sayings, reflecting Luo Guanzhong's wisdom and masterful use of language while highlighting the essence of this remarkable work. 1. Among men, Lu Bu; among horses, red hair. This succinct phrase, just 8 characters in Chinese, has become an emblem of Lu Bu's unmatched prowess and the exceptional quality of his steed, Red Hair. Lu Bu was celebrated as the mightiest warrior, and Red Hair as a horse of rare excellence, swift and enduring. Despite red hair later becoming Guan Yu's steed, the phrase was never applied to Guan Yu, showcasing Luo Guanzhong's particular admiration for Lu Bu. 2. Among the Ma brothers, Bai Mei is the best. This refers to the 5 Ma brothers. Ma Liang, Bai Mei, was the most gifted, known for his distinctive white eyebrows. He loyally supported Liu Bei in solidifying Shu's control over the West Riverlands, but tragically died young. In contrast, Ma Su, the youngest, was intelligent but caused great losses in the Battle of Jieting due to poor judgment. The phrase evokes a sense of regret for one brother's untimely death and another's moment of folly. 3. Utmost devotion, even unto death. This phrase epitomizes Zhuge Liang's unwavering dedication to the Shu Han cause. Whether or not the famous later memorial of departure was authored by him, the sentiment captures his spirit and loyalty, particularly in his relentless 6 northern campaigns despite unfavorable circumstances. It remains a timeless expression of commitment and perseverance. 4. Why was Zhuge Liang born if Zhou Yu already exists? This lament, spoken by Zhou Yu, underscores his frustration and despair in facing Zhuge Liang's superior intelligence. Though a brilliant and proud strategist himself, Zhou Yu ultimately recognized Zhuge Liang's unparalleled talents. This line not only conveys Zhou Yu's helplessness but also elevates Zhuge Liang's stature in the story. 5. All of Zhao Yun is courage. This line celebrates Zhao Yun, Zhao Zilong, famed for his extraordinary bravery. Although he is not extensively described in the novel, his few appearances left a lasting impression with his remarkable feats. The saying also critiques Liu Bei for underutilizing Zhao Yun, assigning him to mundane tasks such as transporting provisions or guarding families, thus squandering his great potential. 6. The Sleeping Dragon and the Young Phoenix, possessing either ensures supremacy. Spoken by Sima Hui, this compares Zhuge Liang, Sleeping Dragon, and Pang Tong, Young Phoenix, to legendary talents like Jiang Ziya and Zhang Liang. Although Liu Bei had both men under his command, he still failed to unify the realm, leading to reflections on the importance of not just acquiring talent, but also knowing how to use it effectively. 7. If one bears a son, let him be like Sun Zhongmo. This remark by Cao Cao praises Sun Quan, courtesy named Zhongmo, for successfully maintaining his family's legacy. The statement underscores Cao Cao's admiration for Sun Quan, particularly in contrast to the disappointing heirs of Yuan Shao and Liu Biao. 8. The heroes of the land are you and me. A probing remark by Cao Cao to test Liu Bei's ambitions. Liu Bei cleverly deflects the comment, hiding his intentions, turning the phrase into one of Cao Cao's most profound lines, both self-praising and subtly challenging. 9. A virtuous official in prosperity, a cunning hero in chaos. This phrase portrays the dual nature of Cao Cao. In times of peace, he could have been an exemplary leader. In turmoil, he was a master strategist and survivor. It highlights Cao Cao's adaptability and strategic brilliance, transcending simplistic moral judgments. 10. One blunder lost the kingdom. This reflects Ma Su's critical mistake at the Battle of Jieting, where his failure led to the loss of a vital position, jeopardizing the Shu forces. The saying serves as a cautionary tale about the severe consequences of a single poor decision, regardless of one's overall capability. These sayings are not only beautifully crafted expressions, but also profound reflections on life, leadership, and human nature. They invite readers to delve deeper into the philosophy and wisdom of the past, demonstrating why Romance of the Three Kingdoms continues to resonate across centuries. The 19th story, The Young Employee and the Lesson of Judging Others. At a large company, Min was a new employee full of enthusiasm. On his first day at work, he was confident in his abilities and felt he would quickly shine. However, due to his slightly impulsive nature and lack of observation, Min often made hasty comments about his colleagues. One day during lunch, Min overheard an older colleague named Mr. Tan sharing an old idea of his. Min assumed Mr. Tan was outdated and out of touch with modern trends, so he bluntly said, "That idea seems outdated and doesn't fit with today's times." The atmosphere turned awkward, but Mr. Tan just gave a gentle smile and didn't respond. Those around him remained silent, but Min didn't notice their uneasy glances. A few days later, Min was informed that he would be part of a major project. To his surprise, the project manager was none other than Mr. Tan. At this point, Min learned that Mr. Tan was not just a senior employee but also a highly influential figure in the company, respected for his experience and wisdom. During the project, Min realized that Mr. Tan wasn't just technically skilled but also willing to help everyone around him. Despite being hurt by Min's earlier comment, Mr. Tan was patient and guided Min throughout the work. After the project, Min reflected deeply on his behavior and sincerely apologized to Mr. Tan. Min learned a valuable lesson: a careless remark can hurt others and harm oneself. Observing, listening, and respecting others are crucial skills in any environment. The ability to judge character not only helped Min avoid unnecessary conflicts, but also enabled him to build strong relationships and create opportunities for career growth. Thank you for taking the time to follow this content. If you find it helpful, please hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel to continue exploring meaningful lessons with us. See you in the next video, and may you always stay strong and achieve the goals you deeply desire. Goodbye and see you again.